So roughly about a year ago, at the time we were recording this, Sonic Frontiers came out. And about half a year ago, I made a video talking about how I think the game sucks, I'm better, shut up, you're wrong, go die, and then I die. But between my untimely death, resurrection, and existentialism, we've received 3 updates for the game. Have they made it any good? Is Sonic Unleashed a good game? I don't think anyone should have gone into any of these updates expecting a full visual overhaul. If you genuinely thought that there was going to be like a quill slider or something like that, then you spend way too much time on the bird. Oh yeah, speaking of the bird, I should probably mention that actually. We've parted ways. Yeah, I'm a level with y'all. I don't like the idea of my art being used for AI, like at all. So I use Tumblr now. It's everything I could have hoped for. So yeah, same old Sonic models, same old animations on Sonic. I gotta specify, only on Sonic are the animations that bad. The other characters are decent, to say the least. For every sliding Sonic, there is that one animation that I look at it and go like, oh, that's pretty cool, I like that. And also Crazy Frog. Crazy Frog. The same can be said about the world. It really hasn't changed all that much visually. Although, that is not to say that it hasn't changed entirely. Quite the opposite, actually. And I hate it. Between updates 2 and 3, they added these new challenges that allow you to collect Cocos that'll extend your boost meter, as well as updated 3 having them for Tails, Knuckles, and Amy specifically. And I hate them so much. They stick out even more than the Sonic ones. At least those match the color palette of the actual architecture. What is this? Oh my god! A shooting star! I think. I do agree still with the sentiment that Sonic Utopia should be used as a form of basis for the next game. Creating something that's more accommodating for Sonic's controls than just a world. And you know, as much as I hate them visually, the later updates ain't that bad at this. There's much more of an emphasis on using Sonic's physics and the spin dash especially to get around, and I really enjoy that a lot, and I hope this carries over into the next game. Sonic's controls have honestly improved a whole lot since the first release of the game. Update 2 gave way to the deceleration sliders, allowing you to change how much speed you maintain in a jump and how much you lose after boosting, which is certainly a way to go about it. Not the way I suggested, but it's still appreciated. Sonic's ground speed is definitely something they need to work on. Like, they went out of their way to make Knuckles' spin dash. We're gonna get into the spin dash. They made his spin dash carry its momentum. Only him for some reason. No one else. Just Knuckles. This is why he's the best character. So I know this is probably going to be a controversial take, but I don't like the spin dash in Frontiers. The game has you doing all the astral chain challenges, which are fun to a degree, but it's all for a boost that just lets you hit enemies now. It's just a normal boost. Boost 2, electric boost-a-loo. If they bring it back in the next game, then I really hope that they do end up retooling it to function more like the drop dash, putting more of an emphasis on how much you charge it rather than just being a fast way to get around the islands. And maybe you could bring back the spin boost as like a max ring thing similar to the electric boost. I don't know, just an idea. I do still think the short hop would be a nice addition as like an animation. You know, Sonic's jump ball is kind of weird looking. That's a story for a whole another day. And like I said in that original video, the drift isn't a necessity, but it sure would be a nice addition. And hey, you know what? They seem to have agreed with me because Amy has it in her moveset. It might just be brought over to the next game. Along with those, I suggested that they updated the drop dash so it's much more visually clear to when you're using it or not. And they fixed it. Very slightly. I don't think this helps actually. Lastly, for the extra playable characters, I suggested that they made them similar to Sonic and just have their own movesets and be a little slower. Which, you know what, they actually followed it to a T. Kishimoto, do you watch my videos? You know, it's funny I said Kishimoto, do you watch my videos? Because like, I really hate the idea that people just refer to Sonic Frontiers as a game developed by Kishimoto and never thank the team for any of the improvements made. I sure do love Sonic Frontiers, my favorite indie game. Now as for the combat, I wouldn't say it's entirely improved, but there definitely have been some changes for the better. Outside the spin dash, and I guess if you want to count the other playable characters, there haven't been any real changes to the movement options. That said, the enemies are perfect. I love all of them, each and every one of them improved tenfold. This is exactly what I was talking about in my last video, how you have to go through a section beforehand to actually get to the boss fight itself, where they basically do nothing most of the time. Where here, they don't hesitate or anything, there's no mini games, you just go for it. And I adore that, and I really want to see this return in the next game. As much as I love these new upgraded Guardians, there isn't really much of an incentive to fight them other than a real challenge. The gears you'd usually get from them for cyberspace, and by proxy the Tower Cocos, aren't really necessary as they can be found in the open zone itself. But yeah, I got what I wanted. Am I entirely happy about it? Kinda. I mean, 1.5 out of 3 is not that bad. Actually, it is kind of bad, actually, now I think about it. But that's just how I feel about the updates and how they relate to my video. How do I feel about them on an individual level and how they affect the entire game as a whole? Update 1 was very much so everything that should have been in the base game update. We got a photo mode, pretty snazzy. A lot of open world games already have this, but you know, it's welcome. You can parry enemies now and it affects the lighting. Look at this. This is a parry lighting photo. Don't do this while it's raining. We got some little quality of life improvements like fixing the Elder Coco, thank God. It only took 3 months after the game when I'd already maxed out Sonic stats to come out, but you know, it's welcome, it's welcome. We got Battle Rush, which is a great little rematch for every individual enemy that I don't like, and the ones I actually really like. Haven't played Extreme Mode yet. You know, I'd rather like an actual improvement to the difficulty than just now I die in one hit. And the Cyberspace Challenge, I actually thought it was pretty fun. Until I realized I like using the game without the power boost. Lastly, this update gave us a jukebox, which is a fine enough addition, you know. It's nice to show some appreciation for Sonic's history, but some of the song choices were kinda Where's Quartz Quadrant? Honestly though, where is CD and like anything? Like, I know they just added it to the symphony, but like, you guys realize there's more tracks than just Palm Tree Panic and Stardust Speedway, right? Show some respect for Quartz Quadrant. Title Tempest should have been in this game's soundtrack. Update 2 is where I say the game really began to shine and show that the devs really did care about the fans' input. Starting with the Coco challenges, which were really just ways to up your boost stamina. Kinda useless considering you can just side loop to get an infinite boost, but it's still a fun addition. Extra cluttering aside. The Astral Chain challenges are a blast, and while you have my issues with the reward you get for them, it's still a really fun time. I don't like the birthday stuff. Where's my retro skin? We finally got some physics sliders. This is the best part of the entire update. Then there's the big one, Update 3. What do I think? We got Amy, you know, she's got a triple jump. That's really fun to use. It's fun to glide around as her. I like this. Knuckles, also really fun to glide around with. It also has, weirdly, the best spin dash. Well, how did this happen again? And we got Tails, you know, he's not that guy, but you know, he is certainly one of those guys, you know what I'm saying? You know, he's kinda alright. You know, he's a little platformy, he's a little cyclone-y, he's a little, I don't like using the cyclone. But yeah, while sluggish in some areas and also having weird control schemes compared to Sonic, the other characters are still pretty fun to use. The same can't exactly be said for Sonic, however, at least for most. A common complaint about the DLC is that it's way too challenging, and even as someone with a lot of mastery over Sonic's moveset, I can definitely agree with that sentiment. The first 2 towers especially are a pain, although the accompanying challenges aren't that bad. Except the Master Coco trial.
I do think Wyvern was a really good boss, where you need to parry all of his attacks back at him. Which would be a lot cooler and more satisfying to do if the parry wasn't so easy to use.
All of this leading into an amazing final boss against the end, controlling Supreme. That is kinda flawed, I'm not gonna lie. The main way you drain its health is by knocking off the power cable it has connected to Supreme, which is the same way as you dodge Knight's shield, which I kinda forgot about. Not to mention how it utilizes the perfect parry as well as limiting your ring counter, but I gotta say, great boss fight. And overall I'd say it's a much better game than it was before. With the team being more open to fan criticism online, as well as wanting to broaden the scope of the series, I have a lot more hope for the Sonic series than I did beforehand. My hat goes off to you, Sonic Team of Japan. You ought to be proud. Now can y'all finish the Starline saga already so we can have Surge in a game, please?